Hey, what's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. Guess what? The Giants continue to slump hard, but help is on the way in the form of Bryce Eldridge. The young kid, the future of the team, got the call up. Alex and I will talk about that, the horrible road trip, and more. But first, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Mancini's is now the official sleep partner of the San Francisco Giants. Get moving towards better sleep and save up to $1,200 on top brands at the Mancini's Memorial Day sale. We're talking Beauty Sleep Queen mattresses starting at $299 and Tempur-Pedic starting at $29 a month. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. Okay, Alex, as much as I can't wait to talk about this Tampa series, and the road trip overall, let's start with Bryce Eldridge.
We are making this an emergency pod, and not necessarily because of Bryce, because we've seen Bryce before. It's an emergency pod because this is an emergency. Like this is truly not a. There's breaking news, but I think everyone kind of expected it all day. If you saw Bryce and Jesus Rodriguez get pulled out of the lineup in Sacramento. Also, if you watched him hit 2 home runs on Wednesday and watched this team. But so it's not as breaking as it was like last year when this happened. But this is truly an emergency for the San Francisco Giants. And it had to be done. I think, I had heard as late as like, let's see, the last time I asked someone about Bryce was like Sunday, maybe? Last Saturday, Sunday. And they're like, we still not quite there. Still working on some things. Want to see him force the issue. He had a good week. He had a very good game in Salt Lake. One game in particular. Numbers are there for him. He did his part, and it truly, like, you watch that team, and it's like, not only they need someone who can put the ball out of the ballpark, they need someone who can. Originally I was making a rundown for the podcast, and I wanted to talk about the lack of walks for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I did a deep dive this week for a story I wrote on Friday. They're like historically bad in terms of drawing walks. And Bryce has been doing that in AAA. He did that in spring training. We did see the eye last September. So I think this was necessary. This is, a lot of pressure on him now. A lot of pressure on Tony Vitello to try to figure out how to get him in this lineup every day when Casey Schmidt's been their best player and has been the DH for most of the season. But they had to do it. 0-6 on the road trip, 9 runs. It was like, and beyond that, I just think like, I don't know what the fan reaction would have been Monday night. Nobody ever boos at Oracle Park, but like
they might have.
You're at some point, like, you just got to give people some reason to tune in and come to the ballpark.
Yeah. So I'm glad we started out by talking about what Bryce has been doing in AAA, because the big question when you see something like this is this a decisive move? Is it a desperation move, or is it a distraction move? And really, any of the three would have been valid. Like, we need a distraction.
Yeah.
We need desperation. But it does feel like, aside from there isn't a great fit just contract-wise and starter-wise thing, performance-wise, from what's going on in the infield, it seems like a fit can be made. Bryce has been tearing it up in AAA. It seems like a lot of people have. So help is there. And he has specifically, like you said, been doing the things that are failing to happen at the big league level. There's been no power on the major league roster. You already talked about the walks. So hopefully he can bring some of that, because that flavor is needed so bad right now.
The walks, man. Just to briefly, like, they're on pace for like 300. As of Friday, they were on pace for like 345, which it'd be the fewest by a major league team in the last year by like 17 or 20 or something like that. I forgot all the numbers we put together, but like it's like historically bad. So yeah, a little bit of that will help. I think it's, like I said, it was necessary. And I also just think it's originally we were going to podcast tonight, and we didn't know if we'd get this confirmed tonight, if this week tonight, or if the Giants would wait until tomorrow. I think we all kind of assumed Bryce would be there on Monday, but I was going to have a long conversation here about if they didn't want to pull that Band-Aid off, like, was that okay? And I think it would have been. Like, I think they have to do this, but also, like, if they sat there and Buster and Randy Wynn looked at this and went like, this is a disaster all the way around, and we cannot screw up the 21-year-old or do anything to harm his development. I would have been okay with that, but I also think like they look around and just go, you know what? Let's learn at the big league level now. And honestly, like they're so far below 500 at this point. Like
Mhm.
if there are mistakes at the big league level, like everyone else is making them too. So let him learn at the big league level. Let this be a development year for him. Hopefully, it's a great year for him, and hopefully, he hits the ground running and gets that first home run out of the way in this Padres series. But even if there's strikeouts, like whatever, like everybody else is striking out, like
Yeah.
everybody, Devers and Adames are up over 40 strikeouts. I think Ramos is there as well. So it's Chapman striking out a ton. So it's like, if he strikes out, who cares at this point?
Yeah. There's certainly no version of Bryce Eldridge that drags this team down for how they're currently performing. The only risk would be, any sort of developmental risk, which at some point, it is trial by fire.
Yeah.
I guess it does give us a new rock bottom, that like there is now a worst case scenario beyond the Giants are currently in last place behind the Rockies.
Yeah, I just, I think it's with where they're at right now. Like, throw them out there every day and see what happens. And if the numbers aren't there, they're not there. But whatever, at least he's getting big league reps. And like this season seems like it's headed in that direction anyway. If they don't make any changes, so whether it was now or whether it was, last year was June 4th that Buster DFA Lamonte Jr. got rid of Sam Huff, optioned Christian Koss, Dom Smith came in, a couple other guys came in, and it was like the big roster shakeup. It was June. So if they wanted to wait until June, like, okay, but I don't know that they'd be in a better position, and let them get those reps and let them learn. And I think the big question now is, there's, like I said, there's pressure on him. Tony, I think, is in a really tough spot right now because what he should do is go to Rafi Devers, Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, maybe even a little bit of Luis Arias, who, has been great defensively and is hitting well above 300, but there's also no power. He also doesn't draw walks. There's also some bad matchups.
He's got to play to keep those Gold Glove chances alive, though. Alex.
Yeah, that's true. There's also some bad matchups. Anyway, my point here is what Tony should do is go to all four of those guys and say Casey Schmidt needs to play every day and Bryce Eldridge needs to play every day. And guess what? That means Casey's going to play a little bit of shortstop. Casey's going to play a little bit of third base. Casey's going to play a little second. Tough lefty out there. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you let Eldridge get that day sometimes instead of Devers. We'll see. But I think that's what he should do. I think that's what he probably knows he should do. I also think it's really difficult to do. And one thing I've heard early on this season is that he's been in a tough spot a little bit with some of those guys because he has wanted to give some of them a break and they want to play through this. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. That's going to be like the biggest domino to fall here, I think, is like, you're not calling Bryce up to sit him. And Casey Schmidt's been your best hitter. And guess what? Casey's also young. So he's not as young as Bryce, but he's potentially a big piece moving forward if this breakout is for real. So Tony's going to have to figure that out, and it's not going to be comfortable.
If this was, I don't know, Giants management of years past, I would say it's phantom injury o'clock for one of those guys you mentioned. Yeah. But I don't see that happening with this team.
Yeah, I mean, this could be one of those you get to, we get there on Monday or we get the release on Monday morning and so hurt his oblique on Saturday and it was too late to get someone to the East Coast and maybe didn't want to try to play. There could be something there, but this also is, they don't want to send Bryce back. No, they don't intend to ever send him back. So this is not, even if somebody does need 10 days off, there's at some point you have to figure out this logjam. And I don't know if maybe they'll change their view on the outfield on some of these guys. I had heard, I think we talked about it here. I checked in on the last homestand. There'd been zero conversation of Casey Schmidt getting any work out there. Bryce took a few fly balls early in camp, and after that, that was about it. Never played in the spring game out there. So maybe that changes down the line, but what they should do right now, and I think it's tough, but you almost have to call them. I think you almost have to call them in as a group and just be like, hey, you guys just went 0-6 on this road trip. You're 8 games out of first already. You're 8 games under 500 already. We believe in you, and we think you're the cornerstones going forward. But some guys are going to have to get some days off.
Yeah, and you mentioning the outfield makes me think, obviously, there's another piece to the call-up. It's not just Bryce Eldridge, it's Jesus Rodriguez. And he's kind of like that Swiss Army knife player we've been looking for a while. Backup catcher plus see him in the infield, see him in the outfield. So it'd be surprising to see if they manage to shoehorn him in anywhere as well on a regular basis.
Yeah, a pretty glaring moment in today's game. Top of the 10th, Rays bring in a left-handed reliever, and Jung-Hoo Lee and Drew Gilbert and Eric Haas are due up. And it's just not, Lee's been much better against lefties recently, but it's like a 620 OPS against lefties in his career. Gilbert has not hit lefties at all in the big leagues. And it just was not, you could hear even David Hunter talking about it on the broadcast. They're like, this 10th inning really does not shape up well for the Giants because of what, not just their half, but in the other half, you have Chandler Simpson on second and Caminero coming up. And it was almost like it needed some sort of miracle to get through that. And obviously it doesn't happen, but we've seen that happen a few times. We saw it happen a couple times on this trip with Drew. Like, they just have not been, and this is not, I think Tony hasn't played some guys enough, but I just also think he hasn't had the horses, and he needs somebody on his bench that he can trust to, Drew's been great, but there should be a right-handed bat hitting in the 10th inning there.
Yeah.
Like in that spot in particular, that, go ahead runs on second. So
Alex, I can't think of the last time it was the 10th inning, and I was like, hell yeah, the Giants are in a good situation here. Dating back years.
This is true. They have had some rough times in those, including on this trip. But
yes.
I think we've seen it. I think even in the game they won in Washington, the extra inning game, there might have been a bad left-on-left matchup there too. They're just baseball in 2026. You just can't. You can't be built that way. Like, you need some optionality off the bench. You need somebody, and hopefully it's Jesus. I'm a big believer in his talent. The coaching staff loves him. The front office loves him. 330 average in AAA this year, 400 on base percentage, 311 hitter in the minors. I think has potential to, be a Wilmer Flores type for these guys, like someone who can move around, someone you just really trust late in games. And it's a weird role for a young guy, but if that does end up being his role, and we'll see what they do with their catcher position. I mean, Bailey hasn't hit lately either, so we'll see where that goes. But if that does end up being his role, I think he can be really good at it. It's just a simple swing. And again, that's like the perfect guy to have there in the 10th inning. Like, oh, you want to bring your lefty in to face our lefties? Well, guess what? Here's this guy who just has a simple swing and is going to hit a single back up the middle and bring in the run. So they've been missing that, and they believed in Gerard, and that hasn't worked out, and they refused to play Christian Costas. So they need somebody. They need a right-handed bench of some sort. A right-handed bench option of some sort.
We do not have a official corresponding move for this these call-ups, correct? I mean, we could hypothesize. Is that even worth doing with your journalistic integrity? I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious, but
I generally hate doing that because it's guys' livelihoods.
Absolutely. I get it.
We also get, sometimes people don't take like our hypothesizing as that.
How about this? Go to visit Alex's social media first thing in the morning and you'll find it.
No, I do want to say though, I mean, it's like Gerard had some opportunities on this trip.
Yes.
He didn't take advantage. It's at some point, it's just like, I don't know what you're waiting for. So we've seen very brief blips of the power. He's a great teammate. He's a great guy. We'll see what happens with him. But like that one, whether it's now or whether it's when Bader comes back and Suzette comes back, and if these guys stay, like there's just not going to be room at some point. That just hasn't worked. Will Brennan's there, and he's not playing a whole lot. Costa's not playing at all. And one thing about Rodriguez is like he can play. He can play second base pretty comfortably. He's played some third and first. I think it's mostly catcher, second base, left field for him, in the future, and probably mostly catcher in the outfield. But like he can move around a little bit, and also Casey can move around. And obviously with Bryce here, you have an extra piece. So, and you can move Casey around. So I don't, probably not a comfortable Sunday night or comfortable next few weeks for Christian Costas guys come back.
Yeah.
So there's some. I will say to the catcher piece, like again, we'll see where this goes on Monday morning. I haven't heard anything as of Sunday evening as we're recording here, but Rodriguez is a work in progress behind the plate, and I don't think they're there yet where they feel like he can be a true backup catcher. So, and Eric Haas has been like fine. He's been a little, he's made some contributions here. So, I don't know that that's automatic as we just kind of spitball here. And I will also say, whenever Suzak gets back, and he should be a week.
I was just going to ask, do we have a countdown?
We don't have anything, we'll get an update on Monday, I think, on him, but we don't have anything like firm on him yet. But it was supposed to be, about another week from here, maybe a little bit longer. But whenever he gets back, like, I do think Rodriguez still makes sense for this roster. And we've talked about him a lot just because he allows you to play Suzak more and be more aggressive and pinch hit. And the last thing I'll just say is Patrick Bailey, you really need to start hitting. Like, it's I just don't know that, like, his defense is great. He had a good defensive series in Tampa, threw a bunch of guys out, but there's going to be more pressure on him when Suzak returns and if Rodriguez hits the ground running, because there's going to be other guys you can throw out there. So if he has a little spurt in him, this will be a good time for it.
All right, before we go on to talk about the awful road trip in the rest of this podcast, I would like to kind of circle back to a month and change ago, when we made our bold predictions for 2026, because now officially, I mean, obviously, this is probably our worst slate of bold predictions we've ever done. But we have one officially out, in that I predicted Eldridge would be here before May 1st, making me 2 days late on my prediction. Brutal.
Oh, if they had just seen that doubleheader on Thursday and reacted then.
Exactly. What were they thinking? So I'm officially out on one, but just as a refresher, I had Eldridge here before May 1st. Devers will hit a career high amount of home runs. Really not looking solid on that one. And the Giants have 3 Gold Glovers. Time will tell on that. I don't think they've been sloppy enough that I can count that one out.
Arias
would be great.
Arias, Bailey, random, maybe Logan runs it back.
In play. And then yours, Matt Chapman makes his first All-Star team since 2019. Not feeling good. Giants hit 200 homers. Couldn't be feeling worse. And Patrick Bailey gets MVP votes. Offense is going to have to turn on there.
I have a shot because I might have an MVP vote. So I just need to convince one other person to join me and put him 10th on their ballot.
It's true, because it was votes plural.
But I don't even know if the Giants are going to get to 100 homers right now. So this is going to be our worst year.
Yeah,
by far. And next spring, back to the drawing board. I think we tried to get a little bit too creative.
I'm ready. I think maybe at the halfway point of the season, or maybe even in June,
wipe them out.
Yeah, wipe them out and stir fresh.
We'll have to do second half bold predictions, because I think we're going to be pretty clearly like 0 for 6 by the All-Star break.
Yeah,
so
100% agree. All right, and with that, let's talk about the road trip. Giants get double swept in horrific fashion. Probably one of the most disappointing, just all around awful road trips I can remember in my Giants fandom, at least in the recent fandom. The wind is out of this team's sails. They look anemic on offense. They keep coughing up leads and doing nothing in extra innings. It's just there are no silver linings, really, which why this Bryce Eldridge call up just feels like the perfect distraction I needed.
Yeah, first I was trying to remember when the Wade thing happened, and I went back and found my story from that breaking news. I just want to read something too, because it's a reminder, one, of just like, as bad as sometimes this feels, like this happens a lot, and especially with the Giants recently. But,
yeah.
So in that story, I wrote about their shakeup, and I called it a historically cold offense. And down at the bottom, I wrote, the Giants are coming off back-to-back brutal losses, both of which can be placed just about squarely on their lineup. They might have the best top to bottom pitching staff in baseball, but they lost 1-0 on Monday and 3-2 on Tuesday. The lineup has gone 16 consecutive games without scoring more than 4 runs, the longest streak since 1965. This isn't even the home streak from July and August last year.
Yeah.
This is just like we're used to like twice a year just having this type of week or 2 weeks where you go, what on earth is this?
So you're saying we got it out of our system early and it's smooth sailing from here?
Maybe someone did on Twitter ask, are we back? And I'm like, maybe.
Too soon to tell.
Too soon to tell. Yeah, but really, I think that road trip, like it's actually pretty straightforward on paper. Like day off, go to Philly, go to Tampa. Like it's not weird travel. Just you're pretty straightforward East Coast trip. They have the rain out. They have a rain delay. They have the doubleheader, the walk-off sweep. They have, another walk-off on Sunday. They get outscored 26-9 in 6 games. First time in 4 years they've lost every game of a 2-city trip. So it was really just a brutal, brutal start to finish. Like nothing redeeming about that week on the road.
And then there's the whole 0 home runs on the trip, which is completely BS because leave it to the Giants to find absolutely new ways to get hosed.
Poor Elliott. It was I don't know that anything is any different about this podcast at all, other than Elliott has +1 home run.
Yeah.
I know sometimes teams like to be like, you get that early run and this and that. And I just kind of go, well, I also watched the rest of this trip. And I don't know that one solo homer would have done much in that 5-1 game. And also every time they get a lead, they can't hold it. So I don't know. I don't think that had a huge impact other than just he pretty blatantly, I thought, got robbed of a home run. So
how is there no protocol for that in a dome? You got to know that's in play. You got to know that happens.
I have a lot of questions about this. Do you have any, I know people are a little up in arms about cameras around houses. Do you have any cameras around your house?
I went all in on the smart house. I have light switches that I can only turn on with my voice, and I'm regretting doing it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I can see who walks their dog in front of our house. This isn't just us. This is very normal in 2026. I can be in the studio and see who's walking their dog in front of our house. I can open my garage from, Philadelphia. I can turn the lights on and off from my phone.
Exactly. I can put on music to annoy my wife when I'm not even home.
Yes. And we cannot, there's no camera on the catwalk in St. Petersburg.
Exactly.
It blows my mind that, and I honestly, I know everyone wants to blame the umps. They just didn't see it. So it's a weird, you're looking up at this white roof trying to find a white baseball. I know the roof's not as bad as before, but it's a weird thing to ask guys. I went back and, we had someone in our studio went through every camera angle we had.
Yeah.
And they found one on Sunday morning and we were trying to figure it out. And you go, and my main takeaway from watching it, I think they showed on the pregame show, was the second base ump was way out there. He's running out to where it's supposed to be. He missed it. They just missed it. It seems like, and I say this because I saw Cedric Mullins try to climb the wall and then jog in 10 feet. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
But I know the umps took a lot of heat and they didn't handle themselves great in the argument afterwards, but I place this blame on the Rays and on Major League Baseball mostly. If the Rays aren't going to do it, Major League Baseball, you have to do it. Imagine this happening in a playoff game or something like that. And I'm sure there'd be more cameras in a playoff game, but it blows my mind. We're talking about a sport where every team's where the Padres just sell for. I don't know how many billions they just sold for. Yeah, come on.
We now have robots calling balls and strikes.
Yeah.
And we can't even get a Nest Cam up in the catwalk.
I mean, isn't there some sort of tech people would know this better? We have our little cameras, but isn't there something you can put that just this catwalk got hit by something?
Yeah.
Some sort of sensor up there, catwalk got hit.
Or just automated camera that follows the ball.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be used for television. It just follows the ball at all
I
times.
have a million ideas. Can you just put rosin up on the catwalk so when it hits it, there's a puff of smoke?
That's a fabulous one. Or pine tar. So when the ball comes down, there's a
pine tar on it.
big mark on it.
It blows my. It was really horrible luck for Elliott, but like also this happens often enough that it's in the ground rules in that ballpark. So I don't know. This feels like an easy fix for MLB to spend like $500 in the offseason and just figure this out.
Wild to think, as a reader of The Franchise by Alex Pavlovic, that could have been where the Giants are playing their home games.
Could have been us.
Could have been us. Well, you and me down there in Florida, man.
I don't. You'd be living in Denver right now, and I'd probably be a lawyer or something. So,
we were robbed of a really interesting life.
Yeah, I don't. That was a weird one. So,
yeah, absolutely strange. But again, like you made clear, at the end of the day, meant nothing for what was an awful, awful road trip. Road trip that started when it felt like the Giants finally had something going. Things were operating right. As I said earlier, momentum now completely gone. Offense has nothing going. The walks are not happening. They're not getting on base in smart ways. And then what do we do about Ryan Walker?
Yeah, I think our argument here has been that there's some sort of issue for him in the ninth. And you look at the numbers, and he's been very good in every other inning. So,
and then here we are in the eighth.
Yeah. So our argument has always just been like, hey, Ryan Walker it's probably about time. Like I'll be honest, like I thought with what I saw in the spring and the way he was talking about his adjustments, I thought it was totally fine to give him that first crack. We've talked about that here a lot, but after the first part of this road trip, like it was pretty clear that it was time for a change, and they did make a change. Killian was the guy today who was going to get that opportunity. Walker was in the eighth, and it followed him to the eighth. Like it was, you can get a blown save in the eighth as well. So,
yep.
And he did. And I think, walking the leadoff batter is just, you can't do it. The numbers say he's been really good. If you take out the ninth inning and take out save opportunities the last couple of years, I still am a believer in the talent, but like I think they have to take a real step back here and just, maybe rebuild this. Like we have seen him come in like after Robbie Ray in the sixth, and we've seen him use in the seventh. Like I think he needs to get a string of those going before he can put him back in these spots. And the interesting thing is it's not the most trustworthy bullpen in the world, but I think right now, if you tell me Killian and Miller are some sort of combo in the eighth and ninth every time you have a lead, I'm totally fine with that. So,
hey, Ryan, bad news. You're the opener for the next month. You're pitching once or twice a series, first and second inning, and then you can earn your late innings.
He might be a great opener. So I just think at some point it's like, I don't even think it's not even doing any service to his career. Like it's just putting him in a spot where he's struggled in that spot. And it's weird because he could also counter and say, hey, look at that Dodger series. And that'd be totally fair. But this has happened enough, and this team can't afford this. So I think they probably need to they did take a step back today and had him in the eighth instead of the ninth, but probably needs to be more of that. And I really like what I've seen from Killian, and would like to see him get that opportunity and see if you can get Walker, I don't even say back to where he was in 24, like back to the way he's pitched in earlier innings his whole career, including the last 2 years. Like there's been some really good outings this year as well. But I think they're probably gonna have to, that to me is part of like that's part of a Monday, like big shakeup of here's Bryce, here's Jesus Rodriguez. We know there's going to be at least like one guy who's very well liked in that clubhouse who is optioned or DFA'd. Part of that to me is also probably a little bit of, hey, let's change some other things up a little bit and try to see if you can just get the ball rolling in the right direction. Because the problem this time of year is like, I don't know if you saw like the entire National League West lost every game for like 3 days.
It was very fun for us to be miserable, but at least be able to wallow in it together with our fellow NL besties.
Yeah, so you can look around and be like, well, you're what, 3.5 behind Arizona, and that's a team you can chase down pretty easily if you get on the board. But we've done this before and quite often, and you just start doing the math at some point and start thinking about what you have to do to get back to even 500.
Yeah.
And to get to like 83, 84, whatever it's going to take, 85 to get into the postseason, like it's just such an uphill climb. Like they just can't afford to mess around at all. So I think this is a week where really like ego has to go out the window on everything. And it's just who's your best option in every spot. And that includes the veterans.
Yeah. 8 games below 500 right now. So we'll take a look, I think, a little more at what's going on in the NL West when we preview the series upcoming against the Padres. But we also have mailbag questions from listeners to get to before that. Alex, do we have any final thoughts on either the positive on this shoulder, Bryce Eldridge, Jesus Rodriguez, young guys coming up to save the day, or do we have any more thoughts about what was absolutely a miserable road trip?
Yeah, I think my big picture thought is just, I hope this is not something where we look back in a month and I know we talked a lot about it's time for Bryce to get the at-bats. I hope it's not something where, what was the way you put it? Like a distraction, desperation, whatever.
Yeah. Decision, good. Yeah. Desperation, not great. Distraction, awful.
Yeah. Because I do think like with both these guys too, like, I mean, we've been banging that Jesus Rodriguez drum for a few weeks. Like, hey, he should be up here so Suzak can play. And I've talked to people behind the scenes and they're like, look, there are things we want to see and there's development we want to see. And I do really think that Buster and Randy have been trying to do a better job of that and not have the Luciano and the Matos and the Meckler and everything that happened the last few years. So I hope that this works out for the young guys in particular, because these two are really talented and a big part of the future. So I hope that the desperation that's happening here does not harm their development in any way.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. With that, let's get to our mailbag questions, Alex, before we preview the upcoming series with the Padres coming to town. But first, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Mancini's is now the official sleep partner of the San Francisco Giants. Get moving towards better sleep and save up to $1,200 on top brands at the Mancini's Memorial Day sale. Plus, your purchase is backed by their 365-night comfort guarantee, which gives you a whole year to try your mattress and make sure it's giving you the comfort you deserve. Stop by or visit online to see what's currently available. All right, Alex, our first question of the day is from Frank. Frank asks, what happens if a player challenges a pitch call and they're out of challenges? Chris Webber timeout moment and they get penalized, maybe ejected, or just a scolding? I did some research and I couldn't find an official rule book answer, but the general consensus seemed to be no penalty. The umpire will just ignore the challenge. Now, I have to imagine if that is being done like to upstage the umpire or being done maliciously, that umps will be umps and take umbrage about it. But yeah, do you have any info?
I have not looked this up before we podcasted because I saw that you looked it up, so I trust you. I think we've actually seen this a couple times. I think what's his name, Luke Fraley or Jake, whatever. I don't know, the guy playing right field for the Rays.
Yeah,
all over the place. He's he wanted to challenge one on Friday or Saturday. It looked like he was, and then it was like, oh, you're out. By the way, the 2 dots on the score bug, tremendous.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Such a great addition. But no,
we have some scorebug heads who listen to this podcast. I hear from them a lot. So chime in if anyone has takes on the scorebug, because I love scorebug chatter.
We'll do a whole scorebug pod in February 2027 when we're waiting for baseball. No, I think we've seen some guys in games like want to, and then it's like you don't have any. So I don't think there is any punishment. What we haven't seen is the obnoxious, like, I know I'm out, but I'm going to tap this helmet anyway because you screwed that up.
Exactly.
And that's coming, and that's going to be great.
Because we saw a little bit of like umps getting bent out of shape about that the year before the pitch, before ABS. Jung-Hoo, exactly. Yeah. It was like seemingly caught up accidentally. just wears too big of hats and helmets. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If we start seeing that, then some guys who are doing it truly accidentally are going to get caught up again in the crossfire.
Question: who is going to be the first to willingly troll an umpire, knowing he's out of challenges, hit his helmet like 5 times, and why is it Dalton Rushing? 100%.
I've had that answer ready to go.
100% going to be him.
100%. Okay. Our next question is from Alexander. Alexander asks, who was calling all those sinkers and splitters Walker and Wynn were throwing? Was it Bailey or the coaching staff in the dugout?
Great question. I was in studio this road trip, so I was, I talked to people who were there. I text people, but like, there's one thing I was going to check on Monday, and I might go under the radar now because there's a lot happening on Monday, and including probably Trevor McDonald, by the way. But it was interesting. Tony did say after Thursday, it all blended together after one of those games. He mentioned just a message wanting to get some, he was doing something with pitch calling from the dugout. So it does seem like that's been an issue, and that I will put a pin in that and circle back to that because I do have some questions about what's going on there as well, because it was unlike Patrick Bailey, and it was weird post-game comments and also some sort of references, at least, to like some stuff was coming from the dugout.
And not the first time this year we've felt like we've seen Giants pitchers just throw the same thing a strange amount of times. So I want some investigative reporting. Yeah, let's get to the bottom of this.
It was already on my list, and now I'm probably bumping it down to Tuesday because Monday is going to be a whopper of a day at Oracle Park. So absolutely fair.
Save that for Cinco de Mayo. Will says, what?
I'm working Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah, dude. Well, it's a Padres game. It's City Connect.
City Connect. All right.
I'll be
not the vibe you want.
I'll be watching it from a taco shop.
Have a mark for me.
I absolutely will. I'll send you a picture. Will says, with how well Arise is playing, his market seemingly reasonable for an extension, and how important of a clubhouse guy he is. Any thoughts on trading Level or Jossoir for a Joe Ryan to really make a win now push?
Well, the specific Joe Ryan hurt his elbow this weekend.
So I saw that. He threw like 9 pitches. And
yeah, I think this question came in before that. Yes. But the general topic, there is no wiggle room at all for me on this one. Like, sorry, Luis, I don't think there can be any extension talk at all. Like that second base has to be left open either for one of these kids or for Casey Schmidt or for, by the way, Casey Schmidt can play second base. Like all the talk like of what happens, like all these Level, Joshua, Hernandez, does Willie move there? But anyway, Casey's probably the easiest answer in 2027 at this current, if everyone goes at this rate right now. But yeah, for me, it's just like it's a non-starter. Like he's been great. He's been unbelievable defensively. He's a Gold Glove finalist if the season ended today. Deserves all the credit in the world for being stubborn in free agency and saying I'm a second baseman and going out there and proving it. But they have too much money committed to their infield to lock up another infield spot.
Yeah. I don't know, Alex. Here I am on early May. I look around and I'm like, yeah, this team is just a Joe Ryan type away from winning the World Series.
And that brings us to the other point of this is that this is, I think one of the really frustrating things, not just for fans, but you and I, we're aside a little bit. I'm very much aside on I am very much down the middle on most things, but it is hard to watch and it is hard to come up with storylines and do post-game shows and do podcasts twice a week. And like, thank God for Bryce, because I was sitting there on the drive home today from the studio going like, how do we talk about another series like this, and do anything different? So my point of all that is that if this keeps going this way and this is just another year like this, the end result of this needs to be like doing everything you can to protect the future. And Bryce and Johnny Level and Joshua and Luis Hernandez, who, by the way, hit a grand slam in his first ACL game, and whoever, bunch of guys, Gavin Keelan, like protect all of that. No more of this mortgaging the future. No more trading guys. Like Yeah.
Yeah. Stop. If it continues like this, we need to stop even thinking about winning now, especially if that means gambling the future.
They were right to do the Devers trade, but
Yes.
you can't, like, that was the last one. Like, this is your group, and they either win with this group,
Yeah.
or they need to really protect the future and see if this class that's coming in like 2 years can change things.
They would not be right to double down.
Yes, that's a short way of putting it. Yes,
Yeah.
do not double down on this.
All right. Next one is from Marlon. Marlon says Bailey's OPS starts with a 3 as I type this, and he is under 50% with his challenge success rate. Outside of framing and pop time, everything else is a lot of blue in his Baseball Savant page. Is being in charge of the pitching staff so demanding it has caused the rest of his game to digress? Are the Giants okay with this since the pitching staff loves him so much?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. There's a lot on his plate, but it's not all encompassing. Like, there's there's time to go out there, and Buster knows this because he did it, and it's he's a different level of hitting talent, but there are a lot of guys around the league who have a lot on their plate and doing a great job defensively and are producing more. So that, I think, goes back to what I mentioned just briefly at the beginning of the podcast, that I do think this has been a very, like, our podcast in general, like the last year plus, I think we've talked, like, Patrick should be your number 9 hitter, and he should, like, it is what it is. Like, he doesn't hit much. You get some big hits every once in a while, but he's the best defensive catcher in baseball, and depending on what metrics you look at, he might be the most valuable defensive player, like, altogether. But having said that, like, they're in a weird spot right now where they're the worst offense in baseball, and there's pressure on everybody. And there's now 2 young catchers who could be on this roster with him soon. So yeah, I think some of that, like, hey, you worry about the defense, the game calling. Also, some of the game calling the last week hasn't been great.
Has not.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to what I said earlier. Like, I think he needs to get in gear a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if changes get made with him, because we have made such a big deal about how offense is just a bonus, but that is assuming that there's offense elsewhere.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a couple games this weekend. Like, was it Saturday? Again, this whole trip blended together, but there's one game where he throws out 3 guys, and like, you go, like, that's Patrick, that's a Patrick Bailey game if they win that one, but they also can't score right now. So
yeah,
when Suzak comes back, I think he'll go right back into putting pressure on Bailey's playing time.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a Patrick Bailey with a batting average in the 200s, calling some great pitching, and then giving us a handful of cool walk-off moments. That's all I need.
That's a top 10 MVP candidate. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a point where, like, the bar's just like, okay, like, you just need a little bit more. So,
yeah. All right. Next question is from Chris. How would you rate Hector Borg's performance so far?
Has not been great.
It's third base coaches are a lot like relievers, where you really only hear about them when things go bad, and you don't want to hear about your third base coach ever.
Yeah. The only time you want to hear from and this is no disrespect to any of them, I love almost every third base coach I've ever covered. They're tremendous characters.
Yep.
The only time you really want to hear from them is when, like, there's like the Angel Pagan play where it's like, I need to talk to Flan about that. Like, yes, and a lot of times those guys make great calls. And I think it's obviously been a rough first month for Hector. I think he would tell you that as well. I will also say he's had a huge hand in the defense, and especially it's not just Wash who's working with Luis Arias every day, it's Hector Borg as well. So there's a lot he's doing behind the scenes, but his main job is coaching third, and it's been rocky. But I also, I think people, I get so many questions about him on social media, and I think if you ask Buster this, and maybe we'll have a chance to this week, like, he'd probably say, like, there's so many issues here right now that it's just glaring when there's a mistake at third base. But
yes,
so it's all put on one guy, but he's not in the batter's box. So
yeah,
but there have been some mistakes, and it does need to be better there at third base. He does have a lot of experience doing that, so it should get better. But yeah, that's a tough, that's a thankless job, because you make the mistake, and it's really easy to see.
Do you have a favorite third base coach of of Giants?
Oh God, you're making me. I can't pick between some of these guys.
So, I know you know some very, very well from studio.
I think Flan's just like the all-time third base coach.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
And just in terms of like personality too, and I think one of the disappointing things probably for Hector is like he's extremely well liked. And I talked to an executive a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about this was before some of these plays that have happened to him, and we were talking about the coaching staff, and he told me his team wanted to hire Hector. Like,
really?
So he has a great reputation within the game, and is very similar to some of the other guys who have coached third for the Giants. It just hasn't gone great for him so far. But I do think like if he can get on the right track, like he does have that personality that you love to see that we saw from Flan. He is the type who would chase a guy down the line on a walk-off, but just hasn't happened so far.
My guy, when I was a kid, I absolutely loved Wendell Kim.
Ooh, you digging deep.
The late Wendell Kim, just sprinting out there to third top. Loved him.
They're all, they're characters. And
yes,
you have to be tough for a lot of reasons to do that job, but I think mostly to take the criticism for.
Yeah, totally. Because like we said, when you do the correct send, your name isn't in the headline.
Yeah. Guess who never gets in trouble? The first base coach.
Exactly.
It's third base is a tough one.
Yeah. Next question is from Aiden. Aiden says, Tony talks about the bunt, but what about the steal? So far this season, the team has stolen very few bases, last in the majors. Last year, they were second from the bottom. Why is the organization so against stealing?
I mean, we do this pod every October, right?
Hey, can't wait for this to be the year the Giants get fast and athletic and young.
I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder. This spring, I don't think I ever wrote the story about the Giants look like they're going to steal more bases this year. I hope I didn't. I think but we've Farhan every October he'd sit down and talk about we need to be more athletic. We need to run a little bit more, and we need to be better defensively. Buster has talked about it. Bob Melvin talked about it. Tony comes in and talks about it and goes, yeah, we want to be aggressive. We want to force the issue. I don't really have an answer for you. And it's partly a personnel thing, but it's also like, it's not totally a personnel thing because some of these guys are like, Elliott's a good athlete. Matt Chapman's a good athlete. Drew Gilbert's pretty quick. Like there are guys who can do it. Jung Hoo's not as fast as you might think when he came over, but still he's fast enough that he should be stealing more bases.
Yeah. When your father's nickname was Son of the Wind, you expect to have a little more wheels.
Yeah. I mean, in Luis Arias has 4. Like all these guys are faster than him. Patrick Bailey has a couple. He's stolen a couple. So I don't really have a good answer on this one. They've run through first base coaches. They've run through base running coaches. They've run through staffs. They've run through everything. There's something in the water there for whatever reason. This team can't get going. I think it's truly going to take maybe Josh Ward's the guy or somebody comes up from the minors, but even some of the guys who've been like Steven Duggar, those guys, like you still wanted them to run a little bit more. So
is this a ballpark factor? Is there like a weird wind tunnel blowing against the first to second area where you slow down?
The dirt slow?
Exactly. Is this like an unknown or unwritten thing about Oracle Park?
I don't know. I think my best guess would be the offense has been, generally bad for most of the last other than 21. It's been generally bad. And
yeah.
I think that makes you a little gun shy sometimes.
You don't want to waste your single.
You don't, yeah. But it should be better. It really there's a lot of like last in homers, last in walks, last in stolen bases. Like that's one where you could try to force the issue a little bit.
For those looking for a silver lining, not last in OPS.
Who is last in OPS? The Mets?
I don't know, but the Giants are 29th.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So
they actually might be back.
we are climbing the ranks. All right, one more question before we look at the Padres series. Carl says, if they don't start winning, is Mustache May canceled?
Is Mustache May canceled anyway?
I don't know who even carries the torch these days, but it is tough to do these kind of like fun, jokey, vibey traditions when the vibes are just gone.
Yeah. That was a Slater, yes. Thing. I think those guys Wade was pretty active in it. So
Oh yeah, Wade had a
um,
great one.
yeah, I think a lot of the guys who are pretty active in that are gone, are gone for the most part. So it appears to be gone. Maybe that's the answer on Monday. Just show up with mustaches.
Everyone shows up with a mustache and they never lose again.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see what the vibes are just in general Monday. And I saw some discourse on social media about some people saying everyone boo, some people saying do the Trey Turner thing and cheer everybody.
I saw people asking for the Trey Turner thing, and yeah,
it's just a weird. I don't know. I'm curious to see what the vibes are this whole homestand, and how the crowds are. And the weird thing about that too is as much we do these therapy sessions twice a week, as rough as it's been. I think you went to a game on the last homestand. Like the crowds have been good and people are having a good time.
Crowd has been good. Yeah, it is. It's just, I don't know. The crowd has been good, but I don't know that fans have seemed that engaged. I don't know if that's just it's selling out and people are coming, but it's not the fans who are going nuts for the players, going nuts for the big moments. It's people. No shade to people coming to Oracle Park, have a good time on a Friday night, hang out with friends, chat, catch a few innings. But on the other hand, maybe there's just not a lot to root for at these games, despite the sellouts.
Yeah, you say big moments, and I say we can count them on one hand.
Exactly. So. Yeah, and I guess when the actual big moments happen, the place does go absolutely bananas.
Yeah, I mean more of and again, there's like a little shakeup here, and Bryce will be the big story Monday, but nobody ever really gets booed here, and there are some guys who are walking a line of you could picture it, maybe some grumbles. So
I would be fascinated to see if that, the impact that had on the situation, because none of the guys who are struggling seem like the guys who would respond well to that. That doesn't put the right kind of fire under this team.
Santiago Casillas got to be sitting somewhere going I know I had some rough stretches, but come on. I was getting booed off the field, and
exactly.
This is what's going on here. Camilo Zaval's getting booed. He's sitting there going bet you wish I was there now.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Well, speaking of this upcoming series, let's take a look at it, Alex. The San Diego Padres are coming into San Francisco. They're currently where? They're currently number 2, 1 game behind the Dodgers. Although, are they playing right now? No, they are 1 game behind the Dodgers, or half game rather, at 20-13. Really, we talked about how the whole NL West had that rough spot where they had I think it was the first time that every team in the division won for 3 or lost for 3 days or something like that. But aside from that, the Padres have been having a hell of a year.
Yeah, I somehow end up in Padres Twitter a lot, but I think
on your algorithm, or they are in your mentions.
I think maybe guys I don't know how the algorithm works. People get in my mentions and then I read it and then I end up in.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how it works, but I see a lot of Padres
fulfilling. Yeah.
So there's a lot of Tatis grumbling.
Really?
But he's can't hit a homer. But they haven't. They've been weirdly the record's good, but I don't think they're that much of a standout team.
Yeah. Well, the biggest news in the Padres world was just this week. Padres sold for just under $4 billion to a new investment group.
They donate $500 to the Rays, and let's get some cameras.
Exactly.
Do it.
But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. We know, I guess, the Padres' relationship with spending has been a big topic of not just Padres fandom, but just MLB fandom, as one of those teams who tried to go all in, didn't fully commit, tried again, and now will this new ownership group do the same?
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they do, because their Wade owner was very aggressive, and they've been very aggressive in trading prospects and just going for it year after year, which we've always kind of respected here.
Love it.
Yeah, and it's an awesome situation down there. So it really, if someone wants to come in and just keep putting money into it,
yeah,
they could. But I don't think that team this year, I know they're off to a good start. I don't think what we saw down there and what I've seen from them since is like that's scary. But
yeah,
they played good baseball.
have you seen their City Connect, their new one?
I have not. I don't think they ever should change the old ones.
It's basically the old ones in a new color profile. And Alex, if it was next to the Giants one on a rack, you would think it was the same jersey. It's basically the new, like, the dark with orange and purple. It's basically like a dark navy that looks black with orange and teal highlights, and it looks so much like the Giant City Connect that it's weird.
Do you feel like City Connect would go in the bucket of like maybe don't need to see those Tuesday? Like with everything going on right now.
Oh, that's true. I mean, it's Cinco de Mayo. They just roll out the Fiesta Gigantes.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
So let's take a week off.
Put a pause on the City Connects. Although I do think I'm not tracking the data anymore, but I do think they're like undefeated in those or have a really good record in those this year.
Yeah, we'll see what they do on Tuesday. Pitching matchups. It is unofficially, we think, Trevor McDonald on Monday. Okay. Unofficially, it is him versus Randy Vasquez, Logan Webb versus Walker Buehler, and Adrian Hauser versus Matt Waldron, who, if I'm reading this correctly, has a 9.88 ERA and a 1.98 WHIP. So,
okay,
I know they've changed the rotation up a little bit, including today. So we'll see who actually shows up here. But if those are the probables, like, get going, San Francisco Giants, because it should be a time to get going.
Yes, but we have said that before.
Many times, but this would be a good time.
The next time you hear from us, we will know if they got going. We'll know if the situation got worse. We'll know how Bryce Eldridge's 2026 debut went. And I am as excited for it as you are. Until then, don't forget to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast, but only if it's a good one. Subscribe as well. Buy Alex's book. And what are we going to tell people to cheer for our struggling players? Are we going to tell people to do the Trey Turner?
I hate the Trey Turner.
It's like lightning in a bottle. I don't think organizing another one really makes sense.
No, I hope the ones I saw of people saying to do that was like joking. But
no, I think people it comes from a good place in their art, but I don't think it's going to work.
No, here's what I'll tell people. Giants are returning home. Bryce Eldridge is here. Jesus Rodriguez is here. I've already been texting our producer. We're excited to do a pregame show tomorrow, which has not always been the case recently. You and I were excited to pod.
Yep.
I'll be writing a lot tomorrow. We'll be podcasting, YouTubing, doing it all. So, hope it's a fun week to cover and hope people enjoy it all.
When did we do our Bryce Eldridge interview? 2 months ago?
Ooh. Spring training?
Scroll back to spring training. Listen to the Eldridge interview. Get yourself fired up.
Yeah, early March, February. Yeah. So he's been on here like 3 times at this point. So we're go back.
Yeah. All right. See you guys in a few days.